Welcome to another edition of We-On-Loc Nation, and I'm sitting here with the all credible Drake. I hear you're a police officer in Atlanta.
Used to be.
Well, you tell it. You tell it. I'm a bad introduction. I was gonna have Lisa come up here and do the introduction, but you go and tell your story.
Well, I started my law enforcement career with the federal government. Then I went from there, went into the police academy with Nathan Daley. Then from there, as a patrol officer, specialized unit officer, like armed robbery task force, burglary task force, I went into gangs, homicide, narcotics, armed robbery, property crimes, dealing with fraud, burglaries. Then I went over to the DA's office where I worked special victims cases here in the Atlanta metro area.
Wow, that's quite of an achievement.
Over 20 years.
20 years. Is it easy getting to the academy?
No.
Okay.
You have to be physically fit. You have to be academically astute, because we probably had about like 56 tests while we were there. Then you have to know how to drive. You have to know how to shoot. You have to know how to speak. You have to know how to fight.
I know how to drive. I know how to speak, and I definitely know how to fight. The test. I suck at tests. All right. Not to waste anyone's time here, because we've been beating this thing. Sure you've haven't heard, or have heard whispers of certain cases in the last three weeks about this young 17-year-old boy that murdered another 17-year-old boy.
Right.
And I'm sure you probably heard, false allegations or lack thereof, or what should be, what could be. I would like to give your acclamation of what you think should happen, what should have happened, and in the whole 9 yards. We've beaten this thing half to death for the last couple of weeks, and I would like to be on a panel, and the only reason why I'm doing this is because I would like to be on a panel with people who have some type of common sense. Number one, we're not arguing back and forth. Number two, and we're not nitpicking at each other. I mean, we're 30, 40, 50, even 60-year-olds that clearly don't have some that just we don't have respect for one another. And so over here, I want to illustrate some. I want to show something different. And I'm not talking about all panels. I'm not talking about all panels that do this. I'm just talking about certain ones that are in my algorithm. So I would like for you to give your thoughts, your whatever about the Karmelo Antony case. You have the floor, sir.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Lisa. I see you over there. I appreciate you. So I pretty much kind of on a personal level dived into this thing. And I look at certain situations on a different lens. I take emotion out of it. I take race out of it. I let the facts dictate what it is. And unfortunately, there's not enough information for me to form an opinion. So what I do is I go off of what you can and can't do as a person, right? So my understanding is Karmelo was one of the athletes at the track meet. Started raining, and he runs underneath for a tent. He's confronted by one or both of the twin brothers and told him to get out. As he approaches him, he said, don't put your hands on me. If you put your hands on me, you're going to get what you get. It's surmising. The brother put his hands on him, and then he warns him again, I'm telling you, don't put your hands on me, at which time he grabs him, and Karmelo pulls a knife out and stabs him. Okay. I don't particularly look on social media, read, look at YouTube or listen to TikTok to hear what people have to say, because this case will be tried in a court of law, not the court of public opinion. All right. Things like this happen way more often than we know, because if the news doesn't broadcast it, we think it don't exist. Because it's dealing with a black male and a white male, it is pretty much, I would say, the case is being bastardized over social media in reference to the dynamics. Okay. I'm hearing questions from lawyers or family members of the deceased why they have a knife. Regardless, that's not even a question, because you start going down a rabbit hole, because he has a defense. He says self-defense. There are certain things that he said when he made contact with the police that helps him out. The fact that he didn't lie, he said, it's not alleged, I did that. He put his hands on me. It was self-defense. Okay. Which means that when he left the scene, most people have questions of why he would run. Well, you are in an intent where there are aggressive folks approaching you and you took action. Are you going to stay there and risk getting beaten up and the narrative change? Or are you going to leave the area to where you feel safe, to where you can be found, and then you can be able to tell your story without someone cutting you off or you were harmed? So we always tell folks that when it's self-defense, if you're out in the street, someone tries to rob you, and you're forced to take lethal action, get to a safe area, call 911, let them know, hey, this is what I did. This is where I'm at. My weapon is secure. Take the magazine out or whatever you use. I have it here. It's not in my hands. I'm just waiting for the police. Okay. The fact that he was crying, asking for the well-being of the person that he stabbed, takes away the intent. Because if anything, he's not going to get charged with murder. He'll probably get what's called a lesser inclusive, which is probably going to be manslaughter. Kind of like this crime of passion. Because the minute that he felt threatened, because there's also a size component where the victim is taller than him and outweighs him. So that dynamic will always come into. What's not going to come into factor is the color of his skin. Because what most folks fail to realize is that if Karmelo was white and did it, it wouldn't be a blip on our radar. And if it was two black males that it happened to, it'll be a blip, but it wouldn't be anything real worth talking about. But because you have a race dynamic of two folks of different cultures, it's made big. Because not where I will say race will come in is, had he stayed, oh yeah, he was going to get hurt. He was going to get hurt. It's no different. Yeah, it's no different if it was the other way around. A white man stabbed a black man in a tent full of black people. Black people going to stomp him out. Without doubt. Will they be justified? Can't say that. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I think the Karmelo made a very good decision by leaving the scene. Now, where the issue for me comes on with the case is the fact that how I will investigate it. Once I'm on the scene, everybody's separated. Nobody's talking to anybody. No one's talking. Everybody's separated. Everybody's going to get interviewed separately. And unfortunately, when you're dealing with situations like this, emotion comes involved. So as you said, you hear a lot of bickering because you're having an emotional conversation. You're not talking about the facts. You're not talking about what you know. You're talking about what you heard. And unfortunately, when you prosecute cases like this, it's not about what you know, it's what you can prove. The burden of proof is on the state to prove that, one, this is malice murder, that he had forethought to go ahead and do this. Self-defense is, listen, If you touch me, I'm not responsible for what happens to you. That is not a threat. That is a warning. Do not infringe on my person. There's a lot of times where pride and ego gets involved. Like, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do? And especially if you're in the confines of your friends. You don't want to look like you're a punk when somebody tell you what not to do. So with your ego gets involved and you take it upon yourself. Unfortunately, you can't be responsible for how people respond when you put their hands on them.
Does he have to be in a defensive posture?
That's semantics, because once you put, everybody's gonna get in a defensive posture once somebody put hands on you. Because again, ego. If I, pump at you and flinch, I look like a punk. So you don't always have to be in a defensive posture, but you have to be able to articulate, what danger you find yourself in. Some folks bait you into it. Say things, and then when you put hands, then they want to play victim. He didn't. He just like, hey, don't put your hands on me. There are a lot of times when folks sit down and say, hey, don't put your hands on me. You put your hands on them, they punch you. Well, you didn't have to hit me that hard. Well, you can't control how people respond to. You don't know this person. You don't know what he got going on. I heard stories about he's being bullied. I cannot confirm that. And if he is, then you just have an argument to why he has the knife. And you have to.
So do most fights? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Do most fights end up going like this, or do most fights go like this?
Everybody's not pro boxers. Most fights are.
Like,
when I was taught how to fight, you put your chin down, you protect your face. I'm seeing dudes fight like this, and these aren't professional boxers. These are not professional fighters. You can't put what you see on TV in the hands of the untrained.
Right. Correct.
You can't dictate how somebody's supposed to fight. As simple as that. You know what I'm saying? My father taught me how to fight, and then I went into martial arts and all that to learn how to actually do it efficiently. But at the end of the day, I just slap box to get my skills up. But you talking about the 70s and 80s, when the 90s when I was doing that. These kids aren't doing that these days. They're in the house playing video games, and what they see on TV is what they think they can emulate outside.
Correct.
Because at the end of the day, we're still talking about kids. These are teenagers. These are not grown adults. They do not have the ability. Some of them do not have the ability to think logically. It's really about how I feel. And I feel that you don't belong here. I feel if you put your hands on me, I'm going to make you pay. But I wasn't there. I can only go off of the cases that I've dealt with, to where someone put hands on someone and they retaliate and they felt that their life was in danger and they took action. I think what the problem is when you have one side that want to see punishment, not understanding that their actions are damaging the case. When the father shows up at the press conference to intimidate the family, you got lies out there saying that the family is using the money that they received to buy a new house. So now you're in character assassination. Now you're trying to denigrate. Well, we can't get the justice we want. We're going to create our own justice, so he can't live anywhere. Anywhere he goes, he's going to, we're going to get him. Then you got folks that doxed the judge because the judge lowered his bond from $1 million to $250,000. We have black folks that's like, phew, we finally got a break. Finally, somebody's looking out.
Well, let's tell the children.
Yeah.
I mean, you got black folks that are happy that he's home, and then you got black folks that aren't happy that he's in prison.
Right.
I haven't seen that big of a separation in years. I haven't seen that before ever.
We're always going to be divided when it comes to how we feel. Okay. What sounds good always is better to us than what is good. Like, the truth doesn't need anything to support it. The truth stands on its own. And a lot of times folks don't want to hear the truth because it's boring. Now, if Karmelo defended himself and pretty much if there's evidence to prove that, somebody's going to be without a son. Nobody's going to be happy. And you can't please everybody, especially in these cases here, because you always going to have a defendant and you always going to have a victim. The family wants to see justice, and you better believe if he gets off, if he gets off for self-defense, because what's going to happen is his attorney is going to file with the court an immunity hearing, where the facts of the case is going to be laid out and the argument is going to be made on the defense that he defended himself, and it's the burden of proof on the state to prove that this is what he wanted to do. Thank you, Marvin. You know, he has to. That's the state. It's always, when it comes to prosecution, the burden of proof is on the state to prove that the defendant committed this crime. So what's going to happen is going to change. They're not going to try this case in town in Texas that this happened. They cannot.
No. He might get one of those flash mobs, in my opinion, because they're talking about now that he's not. They're locating him in a different location due to the fact that he has been. The family has been receiving death threats,
and the judge,
which is ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. A judge that made a firm decision to lower his bail, because number one, $1 million is ridiculous. Number one, for his age and for his first offense. And secondly, how can the family of no family like that can afford? I don't care who you are as an African American can afford that type of money to bail your son out of jail.
And then you still got to pay for legal fees.
So you might have to put your house up for collateral, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
And even let's just say, if they did have the $1 million, right, and they did pay for the legal fees, people, including white folks, would still be bitching and moaning about he's out and he should stay in jail. So he can't win at that moment. But a person like Dylan Roof can go ahead and kill a massive amount of people in the church, and he can go to Burger King and have a burger. America, world we live in, right?
Well, I will tell you this on that aspect in reference to Dylan Roof. We gotta feed him. Now, taking through the drive-through at McDonald's, that's some different stuff. Never done that before. Most I've done is give you a bag of chips and a soda. You know what I'm saying? But I've never took a suspect of a violent crime to McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, none of that. I can't justify that because my whole travels with this person in the car has to go over the radio. I have to get my mileage. I got to get my starting point. I got to get my ending mileage. And I just can't imagine sitting in there listening to the radio and like, radio, hold me out at Burger King. Right? I'm gonna get my suspect at number 3. And we're gonna supersize it as we run to the jail. That's different stuff. Because I'm responsible for the person in the back of my car, so it's a lot easier to go from point A to point B, which is the jail, or my office to be interviewed. But outside of that, that's some different stuff. And unfortunately, some folks get some treatment that is not equitable to everybody else. So, again, this case is being tried in a court of public opinion. And I think what is being done is possibly, and this is my opinion, a situation is going to occur to where they'll have to pick another judge. You'll look for another judge, and they might judge shop. You don't know. Because when venue change, you got to look at it. You don't always have. You got to understand. I have to see what the inside of that tent look like, Lisa. because if there's no way for you to retreat, if your back is to the back of the tent, I have to be able to see the tent to see where everybody was standing, and do I have a form of exit. But then again, you look at the dynamics. It's raining outside. I ran in the tent because it was raining outside.
And into my recollection, he had just finished the meet.
Correct.
So my guess would be took a shower, got dressed, ran to where he was sitting, and started raining. He sat in the bleachers, on top of where everybody was at, and of course the two boys, the Metcalf family, let's just put it that way, went and approached this boy, and then that's when all hell broke loose.
Correct.
Okay. So when the aftermath happened and he ran in my recollection to an officer. And
no, the officer. Well, I'm not sure if he ran to an officer or he was sitting down crying when an officer arrived on the scene.
Okay.
But he wasn't at the incident location.
Okay. So he ended up spilling the beans with another judge. Another judge would say he should have kept his mouth shut because he gave away his Fifth Amendment rights.
No, because you have the right to remain silent. But the thing is, like, you have spontaneous utterance. But anything he say, if he's not read his Miranda rights, anything he says you cannot be used against him. You have to be advised of your rights. Now, I don't have to advise you of rights if I'm gonna arrest you, but if I'm gonna ask you any questions, you need to be Mirandized. And the fact that he's a juvenile, his parents need to be present during questioning. So I'll have to really look into Texas laws in reference to interviewing juveniles. Because here in Atlanta, 17 years old, you're considered an adult. You get charged as an adult. So you're not considered a minor when you commit a crime at 17.
17, you're an adult? Wow. I didn't know that. I did not know that. God. So, okay, so he tells the officer that, this thing went down, and at that point he's detained, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you're detained, it's basically whatever I say from here on in, you do. You just basically have given up your right.
You're not technically you're under arrest, but you're not. You're being detained. Just as quick as I put the handcuffs off, I could take the handcuffs off. But being that it is a violent crime, you're going to be en route. I'm not sending you home. I can't justify that. Crime has been committed. I don't have all the information yet. Interviews need to be done. A patrol officer doesn't have the final say or whether someone can stay and go in reference to a violent crime. That's the decision of the detective in the DA's office. There's a process that has to take place before someone is released. Once you get into that office and you're, Mirandized and you give a statement to the officer based on the evidence that we have in the scene, whether they arrest you and charge you. Because a lot of times, a lot of officers are like, I'm gonna put that on the DA's office. I'm gonna take these charges. I have enough to charge murder, whether it's stick or not. That's on the DA's office, or whether or not they're gonna add a lesser included, or they're gonna add charges to it. Because normally, what you have is like, okay, you have malice murder, felony murder, then you have possession of a weapon during the commission of a felony. So you have different aspects. Then you look at, did he pose the knife to anybody else other than the first Metcalf brother? These are things you have to look at to see, was anybody felt threatened? And then you throw, here in Georgia, we throw aggravated assault charge, but that's not the case. The interaction is between the two.
Yes.
So all those other charges, the dealing with anybody else in there is different. Anything other than that, you're stacking charges on them.
Well, the and so now that all that has been put aside, and I think the DEA has all the evidence, or
The
or
DA, the district attorney, but
the
the case
district.
still has to get indicted first. So
Okay.
the case has to be investigated, and um, then it has to go before a grand jury. Once it goes before a grand jury, if it receives a true bill, then the case gets put on it gets another case number, and it gets put on a trial calendar.
What was on this? What would be self-defense to you? What makes sense at this point? Because they say that unless you're being harmed, everything has to be equal, right? Like
No,
say
if he didn't have
if
the knife, we'd be talking about what's called a fray. It'd be a fight, mutual combat, right? But unfortunately, we do not hold a monopoly on how people are going to respond to our actions. So, if say I'm at the Chinese restaurant, I'm getting me some chicken fried rice and 4 wings, and someone comes over here and pushes me out the way. I say,
Mhm.
man, don't put your hands on me, bro. What you going to do? I was like, hey, you don't want to find out. Don't put your hands on me. And then you put your hands on me, and then you find out offense. Because had you not put your hands on me, you would not be in the state that you are.
If I was just talking to you and we were just fussing back and forth, and then he took the knife out and then stabbed him, that's one thing.
Correct.
But you, if we're talking and then you decide to put your hands on me, and then we're scruffling back and forth, then I take the knife out and then I stab you, then that's mutual
That's
combat.
that's a component. That's not mutual combat. Mutual combat is if we I punch you in the face, you punch me in the face, we going at it. Nobody is a primary aggressor. We gained it in. We
Uh-huh.
both going. We're both going. We're both en route. We're
Okay.
both getting handcuffed. We're both going to jail.
Okay.
When usually a weapon is presented when there's a dynamics. If you can't fight, you have no hands. Somebody's pulling a weapon out. When you think you can fight and you end up getting your ass handed to you, you're gonna pull a weapon out because pridefully, I'm getting cooked over here. But the thing is, the problem is this day and age, there's no one has any respect for human life. It's so easy to take a life than take care of one. You know what I'm saying? So we went from being like really interpersonal, like going out, playing with each other, hanging out. We used to get into fights, get beat up, see the dude that beat you up, beat him up, and next thing y'all end up being best friends. Nah, it don't work that way today. I punch you in the face, you pull out a gun, shoot me 15 times. And instead of, being apologetic, I'm looking for street cred because I took a body.
People pulling out Dragos now,
Correct.
or pulling out handguns that have like the extra 25 millimeter clips and stuff like that. That's just
It's posturing and it's, all to get a rep. You have to, the way I look at it with this day and age, and I say it's more or less a societal thing than a racial component to it, because I see it through all demographics. I see it with white folks, Asian folks, the LGBTQ community. I see the level of violence rising all over the place. And it's not equally exclusive to black and white, black on black, white on white. It's way more prevalent amongst the whole spectrum than you know. We are more emotional. This is more of an emotional gender. I was raised that adults talk it out, children act out, and there's been a lot more acting out than it has been talking it out.
That's true.
I don't need to walk around like I'm big and bad because there's always going to be someone that's bigger and badder than I am. You know, I don't want to be on a t-shirt. Talk about, I used to be big and bad, but sleeping peaceful. That's not how I live my life.
How did this all come to be? I mean, this was changed dramatically so much. I mean, there used to be a time where if I had a problem with you, we solve it in the backyard, and
Put gloves
or
on.
put gloves on. Uh, one of the content creators that I know, a friend of mine, he has it to where if we have a problem, we can go to a specific location and we can solve it with our gloves. And I like that because at the end of the day, win, lose, draw, you go home. You go home and your pride's hurt, and you go ahead and you figure out how to get them the next time around, right? And then we go back and we do it again. Uh, this time, in like nowadays is it's like we lost. I would have to say we had lost our ways, and it's becoming cowardly because of the simple fact that the person might be bigger than you, stronger than you, whatever the case may be. And people are advocating for the electric chair for this boy. I believe that this boy is not innocent nor guilty either because he was just basically minding his own affairs. Now, could he have made a better choice? Yes. Could he had walked away? Maybe. Um, but when what I've seen throughout many clips that this is not a boy, a 17-year-old boy that's a thug. I didn't see a thug appear out of nowhere. I didn't see it, nor did I witness it. I never heard of a thug. Maybe you might have had heard of a thug that scored a GPA average of a 4.0. I never seen it. Maybe you have, maybe other people have. I don't know. I have never seen it. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, this day and age, you have a lot of uh, folks come from affluent families who have 4.0s that think it's cool to be dumb because they don't want to be picked on by the folks in their school, and they want to be thugs. They want to live a life that was never presented to them because it's being grandiose on social media, fanning the money out, wearing your pants hat because it's cool, is what folks respond to. You don't want to be called a lame. Everything is about, what people think of you. I tell my children all the time, like, look, man, I used to try to pay my bills with other people's emotions and other people's feelings. So I try to pay my bills with them. I can't pay my bills with how you feel about me. I don't care. It don't move. You could think about me how you think. I'm a lame. I'll be a lame. It should not hinder your movement forward. Because for everybody that don't like you, there's gonna be somebody that do. How about you focus on the ones that like to be around you than the ones that don't? And then the ones that have a problem because you ignore them, that's a day problem. Hurt people. They have a problem. Some people are jealous. Some people are envious. Some people think you live better than what you do. Some people think you're too good for them. Some people don't are socially awkward and don't know how to live within a community to where everybody coexists. I got to make a name for myself. I got to do this. I got to do that. My home life ain't the best. So how I act out, I bring it to school. I bully somebody. I get into fights. I yell at teachers. I talk out in class. I'm the class clown. I'm disruptive. There's just different ways that these behaviors manifest. And unfortunately, in this situation, when you're a football player and you used to moving bodies around, you think you're big and bad. I used to be one of those folks. I used to be that jock that thought I was the shit because I was a starter on the football team. you know. But did
Me
I pick
too.
fights? Did I pick fights? No. because I was considered one of the cool kids, so I stayed the cool kid. I was friends with everybody, but I didn't have to worry about somebody come to the gun and shooting up the school. I didn't have that problem. You have that now because folks get in the emotions, they start picking on folks, and they can't take it. We used to shoot the dozens and snap on each other all day when I was growing up. But it's not. This is not the same generation, and I don't expect the kids today to act the way I did when I was a kid. No matter how much teaching, no matter how much you try to educate your children, you know it takes a minute before that clicks because they're hyper focused on what people think of them. They want to belong. They want their own purpose.
Right. Put I think the purpose in life would to be have an education, number one, and number two, grow within your craft, whatever you pick, which would be anywhere in the range of, a carpentry job or something, or maybe be in the police force or a fireman. Um, your purpose is nowadays is to be in the graveyard, and I try teaching young boys at the age range of 11 through 15 uh, that you have purpose. Whatever you decide to choose in this world, you're gonna have, of course, you're gonna have obstacle courses stop you from, try to stop you from doing what you desire to do. But I always encourage them, don't let those obstacle courses stop you from doing what you need to do. Even though I would say that in a world like this, in a system like this, there's always goalposts being moved. But needless to say, you have to do what you have to do until you organize, uh, get, create your own establishments, um, create your own uh, grocery stores, um, hospitals, all these different type of industries, and then at the point of you us making money and having that money rotate 8 to 12 times, you can again create your own laws, create your own constitutions and stuff like that. But until then, the person who has the power, the person who has the influence, you're going to have to do what you have to do in this world to survive. And again, don't let those obstacle courses stop you from doing what you have to do in this world.
So
Um,
you gotta look at the work. You gotta want to put the work in. You have to identify what your why. You can't start the starting line and take a step and want to be at the finish line. You have to learn from your mistakes. You got to learn from your. I learned way more from my failures than I have my triumphs. And the thing is, folks today are afraid to lose. They want to win all the time and don't understand how they got there. They don't understand the process or the journey, And when they hit adversity, they falter because they never experienced it. And you have situations today to where, well, everybody thinks I have money, so I'm gonna continue to live this lie because I can't let folks know I'm broke. I got hands. I'm that tough dude. I can't let folks know that this dude punched me in the face and took my money. I'm gonna have to get him. That's it's and it's amazing to me because I'm trying to investigate a case. You're a victim. Oh man, I'm gonna chalk it up to the game. Nah, I can't have you chalk it up to the game because I don't want you going after this dude. If you're gonna chalk it up to the game, chalk it up to the game and keep it moving. Don't seek
right,
revenge. And it's just like you want to have a rep to being a stick-up kid. You want to have a rep of boosting cars. Not understanding that you don't have to do that. You can learn a trade, be an electrician, learn how to be a plumber. Like do something within the infrastructure that continue to build your community.
Mhm.
Because I'm gonna tell you, you can be lame all you want, but when you get older and you got yourself established, you ain't gonna be lame anymore. You're gonna be highly sought after, and then you're in a position to pick and choose what you want to do, where you want to live, how you want, instead of other folks dictating that for you. And
People are gonna want to work for you.
correct. And I think one of the biggest, you can't say anything about the black race because this young man had his father in the home, has his mother in the home. You
She's not a
understand?
single mother.
Not a
Mhm.
single mother, and which means that he's had male influence. And I know I told my children, like, look, if anybody I don't want you fighting in school, but I don't want you getting picked on. Somebody puts their hands on you, take their hands off the best way you know how. But do not initiate any fights. Do not get involved in any drama. Mind your business, and simple as that.
But see, that's kind of the hard part for certain people when you say that. You say, don't get in any trouble, but don't let nobody put their hands on you. So
Well, that's different because here's the thing. Well, here's the option. Because, like, I just had a conversation with my youngest daughter today. I was like, look, you could be in all these group chats. They could put you in group chats, whatever, so have you. You don't have to respond to whatever they say. And you won't get in trouble with me if somebody puts their hands on
no, you don't.
and I'm telling you, if somebody puts their hands on you and you tell them stop, tell somebody. Tell your teacher don't do anything, tell your vice principal, tell your counselor, hey, this particular person continue to put their hands on. So when you have
Tell
to
them
put hands on them, you have like, look, I'm going to this person, that person, this person. Oh, you gonna suspend me? No, we're gonna go to the school board and you're gonna have to answer why you did not take action when I advised you that I was being harassed by this person who continuously put their hands on. Because one of my daughter's friends got drugged at school. And everybody videotaped it. This little girl got beat up and they wanted to suspend her for getting beat up. And I was like, that's crazy. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like these kids today operates off of he say, she say. I heard you was talking about me. Well, who told you that? Because again, I'm different. I grew up in a different time. You got a problem with me and I could care less what you say about me. You come to me and say, hey, I got a problem with you. Okay, then I know I have a problem with you. But you can talk about me. But I'm a New Yorker. I got a thicker skin than most. And it's just a different mentality that I have. And I try to instill that into my children. And I know it's hard because we're here in the South. They only go to New York for the summer. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have that expectation. I just want you to think things out before you make a decision.
Correct.
Don't put me in a position. Don't put yourself in a position where you need me, the police, to get you out of trouble.
And like I said, it's depending upon where you live, depending upon the situation. I would say, in most cases, run, flee for your life. And if you have no other choice unless you are backed into a corner, then you have the obligations to choose whatever methods will keep them away from you.
Look, there's a very small window that
Very
opens and
small.
closes, and that window. Hey, you're a victim. So if you want to be a victim, being a victim, because once that door closed, you can no longer be a victim again. If someone punches you in the face, and then you wait 3 days to see them to do something to them, you're not a victim. Now you're the suspect in the case because that it already happened. If you don't act right then and there, you can't claim self-defense. If you don't take action when action is being done to you, you can't scream self-defense. It's unfortunate. And you gotta take full advantage of that. I guess it's just me. How's everybody doing tonight? But if you guys in chat have any questions, then hit me up. And I'll do my best to answer any questions you have. And you want me to do the host now? Okay, that's it.
That was my internet.
Yay.
Continue.
What was the last thing you heard? What last thing you heard?
You said something about it being a small window before you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a small window when you are a victim. There's a small window when it comes to self-defense. And you have to act accordingly when that window is open.
Yep.
Because once it closes,
that's mainly it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would advise. Well, here's the thing. I'm assuming that the boy can't fight because, based on internet standards, everybody can fight. Everybody has a degree in ignorance, has a fifth degree in ignorance, and not a second degree in self-control. Now, I can sit here and I can jaw out my mouth all day. And once I see you, I'm going to have to face the consequences. This in a live situation, we're jawing back and forth, but yet it's like, yo, this is ridiculous. I don't want any trouble from you. And this is mostly on my situation. Here's my story. I'm siding in Las Vegas. I worked at the D Hotel, and my job was to wait for, the guests to come out of their hotel room so I could go there and do a deep clean. And it's somewhere around 12 o'clock, 12:30. If you're not out the room, then of course, if you're not asking the main desk to stay, that you're staying there, they will let us know vis-a-vis by radio. We haven't heard anything yet. So I went into the guest room and I called the front desk. Next thing I know, a door opens up and there's this white man standing in front of me with a knife. I have the phone in my hand. I have an option to either bust you upside your head and take the knife from you, or I could call my boss vis-a-vis by radio. In the back of my mind, we have two mindsets. First mind, fight or flight. Second mind, go down. You're going on your intellect, and you say it's not worth it. Go downstairs and inform your boss. At this moment, I'm in fight and flight mode because that was the first time I've ever had a witness someone draw a knife to me. I'm only 5'10", 240 pounds. This guy was 5'10", 250 pounds. I'm dealing with 9 pounds, whatever. But what I know is that I have a healthy fear. I fear a lot of what I'm capable of doing to a person. So what I do is I put down the phone and I say, you need to lower your knife. And he said, I'm not going to use it against you. I was like, I don't know that. You need to lower your damn knife. And so he puts it behind his back. And as I'm walking, he doesn't do anything. I get upset, walk out. I let my boss know, right? So, needless to say, long story short, they find the guy, they take him downstairs, he's banned. I'm still in heat. I was like, you're gonna really do that to me? Really? I was like, all right. In another instant, I'm an Uber driver. And Vegas is lit at night. You got guests coming in, you got tourists coming in. It's heavy. So I'm trying to drive this guy into his location, his destination, I mean. And I see this guy, he's just standing there. And so I nearly honked my horn. I was like, you need to move out the way. He pulls up his shirt and presents to me what he has. Fight or flight. Fight or flight. In danger. Fight or flight. Intelligent. You got you and another person in the car. Get him to his destination, and you can clock out and go home if you want to. I'm thinking, I want to look for this guy. Because you drew out a gun. Being in a situation, you don't know until you know what it's like to be in, and I'm not speaking about you, until you know the situation of being in danger, you don't know what it's like being in danger. You don't know what it's like to being in a situation where you're going to have to choose one or the other, but you forget you have family at home. I want to get back to my family at the end of the day. You know what I mean? But we're all in this thing where we have to prove ourselves just because we train in MMA. MMA doesn't work against a bullet. MMA don't work against the knife. Well, in certain instances, it does. Certain. I mean, if the John Bones Jones, I mean, come on. I mean,
well, truthfully, knives are meant to be felt, not seen. So, I mean, that's the thing.
True.
So, and if you don't see it, that means somebody knows how to use it. If someone has it out in the open, But to go on your, I will tell you, folks got a lot of opinions and never experienced anything, but they would have heard your story, adopted your story, and lived how they would feel if they were you. And they will form their opinion, and that opinion will become reality of how they will react. So they're in that situation and they're stuck. So, one, I commend you how you handle it. I mean, de-escalation is always the key. I mean, truthfully, someone standing in the middle of the roadway, I beat the horn, they lift the shirt up. Got it. Especially if I got somebody in the back seat. Now, me by myself, I'm not that ego dude no more. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, I was that ego dude. I was that hothead. I was that, that dude that was in his feelings. You know what I'm saying? Always angry for no reason, and just because. And then it clicked to like, look, I got a lot to live for. I got a lot going on positive in my life. I'm not gonna let somebody who I don't know steal my joy. I don't know what day they had. I don't know what they've been through. I don't know what they're going through. It's none of my concern. So I'm gonna keep my interaction with you what it is. I do not expect everybody to have an understanding of that, because you can sit down and say, oh, I would do this, that, the other. Then you're in that situation and you don't know what the hell to do. You probably do the opposite. So when it comes to, and we bring it back to like Karmelo, nobody could say what they would do if they're in that situation.
Nobody.
No one. I cannot identify what I would do in that situation. And I've been in a lot of situations, but I've never been in that situation. Nothing I've been through in my life is even close to even similar to that. And I walked around with a knife when I was a kid because I couldn't walk around with a gun. Did I ever pull it out on anybody? Nope. Did I ever need to? Yep. But did I have to? No. Because a lot of times what folks don't understand is um, they get real defensive when you start asking like, well, okay, they had a knife in their hand, but did they point it at you? No, but they had a knife in their hand. Well, did they threaten to do something with the knife to you? No, but they had a knife in their hand. Did they put it to your neck? Did they throw it at you? Did they thrust it at you? Did they take an offensive posture like they was going to use it against you? No, but they had a knife in their hand. It's not enough for you to do anything. If I tell you I'm gonna punch you in your face, but then you punch me in the face, and then you mad because you're in handcuffs, well, he said he was gonna punch me in the face. Was his hand balled up? No. Did he lunge at you? No. But he said, okay, that was your window of being a victim. Where he said he's gonna do something, that's simple battery. Simple assault and battery.
So does Karmelo have a chance in your opinion?
He does. It all depends on his lawyer and how does his attorney tells his story, gives and lays the picture out. Because truthfully, what you have to understand is all his attorney has to do is muddy the waters. You only need one to not believe him. If the state presents a case and the jury do not believe that these charges, because they have to prove these charges, and this is what folks don't understand. You have to prove the charges. Each charge comes with a statute, and if he don't fit that picture, he's gonna get acquitted of it.
I don't.
That's why charging. That's why when you charge a case, it's very important. When you charge a case in the indictment, it explains the action, and the action has to be congruent to the charge. Because if you can't prove what you're charging with, you're not going to get it. Because the jury is going to be advised on what exactly the charge is and the stipulations and what it is. Okay. So when we have cases where this officer involved shooting and the family wants murder, unless you can prove intent, because the officer is going to say he was in fear for his life.
Or premeditated.
Correct. So that means if you premeditated, that means he woke up this morning and said, I'm going to shoot me somebody today. No. Inherently, truthfully, officers are lazy. They'll ride around all day, collect their check, go home. You know, but you have some out there that believe in the duty, believe in their oath, and will go out there and enforce the laws to the best of their ability. The problem is not enough of this. There's not enough of one over the other. So you don't know what you're getting when they respond to the scene.
Were there multiple police reports or just one?
You only get one. So you get what's called an initial police report, then you get supplemental reports. So you have the primary officer on the scene gives a cursory report in reference to the facts of the case. Any interviews done by patrol officers, an additional report will be done, which will be attached to the original. Like on April 24th at 8:03 p.m. Officer We-On-Loc Nation responded to such location in reference to a person stab called. Upon my arrival, I made contact with the victim who was in the hand of his brother with a single stab wound to the chest. The suspect was not on the scene. Witnesses were separated by officers. Cases being turned over to CID. The victim was transported to the hospital. Right. Then me, Dre Blanco, I responded to the scene in reference to a subject fitting the description of a suspect involved in a stabbing. Upon arrival, I made contact with the subject who identified himself as Karmelo Antony. Karmelo Antony stated that he was assaulted by a male, at which point he pulled out a knife out of his bag and stabbed him. He kept putting his hands on me, is what he stated, and through spontaneous utterance, I didn't question him. His Miranda was not read, but he continued to speak. I did advise him to stop speaking until I read him his Miranda, at which point he elected not to speak. Um, there's different scenarios of how it goes, but that's just the curse of what it looked like. Everybody that had contact with somebody will do their own personal report based on what they observed and what they did. All that goes to the detective. He reads over the report, and sometimes we go back out and re-interview folks because there's questions that we have based upon what we read in the supplemental reports and the initial reports.
Mm-hmm.
Our personal interviews with these folks were eliminate the lies from the truth. Because what we look for is all this, like, how close are the stories? Are they embellished? Are they facts? You know, when I ask these questions, what posture am I getting? Is this, you know, did you hear it, or this is what you know? Where were you in proximity to where it happened at? What is your relationship to the victim, or do you have a relationship with the suspect? Either all questions. It's recorded and it's written, and it's on video.
We'll say they I heard that they confiscated the cell phones, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And they're right.
Okay. So
that's
confiscated the cell phones, went to multiple people, which, sidebar, this could have been prevented if they could have had all those people there and nobody helped separate those two.
No, people don't want to get involved. This is what they do.
Correct.
Want clicks. I want this to go viral. I want to get the click. I want to get that check. You know what I'm saying? And where was the adults? Were there any adults who were like, hey guys, you don't even need to do that here. This, you know, it's actually no problem for him to be here. It's raining. Chill out.
No, I don't want to get stabbed. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to get shot. I don't want to get involved in none of that. How will you know if you don't try?
Yeah, my name Bennett and I ain't in it. But well, when the police ask you, hey, what did you see? I ain't see nothing. But yeah, I'm on social media. Bro, man said, and now, not. Hey, how you doing? Remember we had that conversation when you said you didn't know nothing? Well, here we go.
You're a witness because we see you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't say anything, if they don't say anything, isn't that criminal? Obstruction of justice.
Mm-hmm. When you lie, false report of a crime, you can't lie. You can't embellish. Because once you get on that stand and you lie, your credibility is shot. You can't, you know what I'm saying? So we just have to understand it's like sometimes you gotta put being famous on the back burner and do what's right. Forget about the clicks, forget about, you know what I'm saying, going viral. And we're a community, whether we white, black, Latina, Asian, and we're supposed to be a community of a human race. So at some point, somebody with some logic about, you know, this shit ain't even worth it. Hey, check this out. I have a real big backyard. If y'all really want to do this, I got some gloves, I got some headgear. Y'all go ahead, put your mouthpiece in, get a cup, and y'all go duke it out. Whatever frustrations, whatever you think, whatever your biases is, whatever your bigotry is, we can take this out in the backyard, and whoever wins, you got it. If y'all both tire out and nobody win, cool. Y'all feel better? You got that shit off your chest? Cool. Go your separate ways. But some folks think that's toxic masculinity by doing that. Some folks think that's barbaric by doing that. But that's how we solve things back in the day.
Toxic masculinity.
You know, because I think, truthfully, I mean, there's a lot of racism out there, but it's more racially insensitive folks than there are, you know, racism going on. Folks don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, you got white people that are like, look, you black, I don't care. All I care about mine. But, you know, hey, I'm cool with you. You need a kidney, I got you. But I'm going to say some insensitive shit because I think it's funny.
Yeah, it's cool until you become a N-word.
Yeah. or you're a C word, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know. So You just gotta know. You gotta know when to when to hold them, when to fold them.
Hold on, on the
But
phone.
this whole thing is with Carmelo is unfortunate. Sad and that it's taken it's grown the legs that it has and gone the direction that it has. And you have folks profiting off of these children, putting misinformation out there for the sake of popularity and you get monetized. Like
Yep.
really, what are we doing? You
Yep.
know,
And now you got it says it's not a racial issue, but yet the media gets a hold of it, news gets a hold of it,
they're
and
gonna
then
spin a narrative.
huh?
They're gonna spin a narrative.
They're gonna spin a narrative, and of course you got the white wingers, white supremacists come out and say, we're unprotected. Like we need to protect white people. I'm like, oh really? Um, there's some clown out there. I think his name is like Jake Lang or something like that, and he puts on this rally. Barely no one came, and then the next thing I know, he's on top of a bus. Alongside of him is his Sambo friend over here, and he's saying what emulating, and that's you know free free whitey. We're being attacked. I was like, attacked by who?
See, I'm not familiar with it, dude, but again, you the squeakiest wheel will get the oil. So if there's any way for me to put out my agenda and benefit from it and rally some folks who I believe may be like minded and poison some folks, I'm gonna do it. It'll make me stronger and put me out there. And then now you'll see me on Fox. You'll see me on some of these other right wing just spewing my stuff. And that's what it is. Like you have to look at the bigger picture. You gotta look at the agenda, and this is just a microcosm of the society we are in today. They're going to use this as a platform to be able to spew whatever they have to say. But us, we can't get emotional and like you can't control how people think. But you have to weaponize your folks with knowledge, our folks with knowledge and understanding.
The law. You have to
Like,
learn the law.
yeah, I mean, truthfully, because I've heard so many people, "Oh, I know my rights." No, you don't. No, you don't. You know the basics, but if you really understood your rights, then the power that you have, you be wielding it, but you're not.
Mm.
Oh, trust me, there are ways to be able to do it that you have to move. I'll use the courts. If you understand your rights and you can maneuver within the courts, you can do it, and you don't need the funds to do it. Is what I'm trying to say.
When they say you have a right to remain silent, anything you say can and will
Um,
be used against you in the court of law. You have a
yep,
right to an attorney. If you
you
don't
have the
have
right
an
to
attorney,
attorney present during questioning. If you can't afford an attorney, won't be appointed to represent you. Understanding these rights that you heard listed above, do you wish to talk to me right now? No.
boom,
Okay.
boom. This, I mean, people say it's that simple. It is that simple. You don't have to say anything. Yeah. People just, some of them are smart, and some of them are they say lawyer, lawyer. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. So I always say, but I don't want to keep you for very long because I know you got some stuff to do.
All right. I
I'm
appreciate
just
you
waiting
having me.
for Nathan. I'm just waiting for Nathan to get here because I know he's busy. Um,
I thought I
is
saw him
there
earlier.
any? Huh?
I thought I saw him earlier.
I spoke with him earlier. I don't know. He said he was busy, but is there anything that if is there anything that you would say to Carmelo at this point if you were his father?
kind of hard because I don't have any sons. But if I was a relative, I'd tell him to keep his head up. Um, don't let the situation define you. You are supported, and this is a lesson. This is a lesson. This is a very big lesson that even through actions, there are consequences, right, wrong, and indifferent. There are always consequences to the actions we take. And I understand that you felt that your person was in danger, and this person that they're trying to make you out to be is not the child that I raised, and it's not who you are as a person. So don't let that bring you down. Just know that you're the opposite of what they're saying that you are, and we're gonna get through this together. We know the truth. We know what happened, and we're gonna stand by you. You're not alone. So don't ever feel like you're alone, and then the world is not against you. We got your back. And I think the biggest thing is for him is to understand that he is supported and he is not alone. But with that being said, also, what I would say to the Metcalf brother, that's the twin, is it's a lesson. You cannot impose your will on everybody. And it's unfortunate what happened to our brother, but we have to watch the situation that we bring ourselves in. No father wants to bury their son on a situation that could have been resolved. I don't know the history you two have, or if there is one. I don't know what caused the altercation. I just know that because of the altercation, I lost a son, and I'm hurt, and I want justice. But I actually don't know what justice looked like because I don't want to hear that my son started this. What I want to hear is there's going to be some responsibility being taken. So you have both spectrums. How do I, as a man, keep my family together? How do I keep the faith and be the presence that I need to be? And I think that's the thing. That's the hard decision, hard part of being a father. Hard part of being a parent is to be able to stand by a child when they're going through something life-changing, that is life-altering.
I would preference the same thing. I have a son, and what I would tell my son if he were ever in that situation, I hope not. Listen, don't be scared, don't be afraid. Keep your head up. At this moment, we don't know the whole facts of what happened because it's a big gap between what was said and what was done. Whatever happened, right, wrong, indifferent, I'm be with you every step of the way. Me and your mother, we have your back no matter what. I would tell the Metcalf family, sorry for your loss. And I'll keep it at that because I have issues with I have my issues with white folks, so it is what it is. Sorry for your loss. That's the only thing I would have on my mind at that point. Sorry for your loss. Sorry for your loss. Other than that, I don't want to start no being in my other mind would say start none won't be none.
Right.
Because again, how long? I always ask this question: how long? How long will we say enough is enough? How long? Well, you're gonna cross that threshold, and then we're gonna have to get in that ass. How long? But we're talking two 17-year-old boys.
Right.
Two 17-year-old boys. People say there was no racial proponent in it. I would say horse crap, but I would say this: it wasn't racial. It was privileged. Would that sound better? Privilege.
Yes.
And
Privilege and entitled.
you feel privileged to do what's right and go upon the bleachers, and you will say to this man, you need to move because I say so. And he looks at you and says, touch me and see what that, again, there's a gap. We don't know what was said. And then the next thing you know, a boy is gone. There was somewhat of a similar situation about 3 years ago. A white boy was being bullied and was in the bathroom and with a Latino, and they were just fighting, and the white boy pulled out a knife and he stabbed him multiple times. Latino came out the bathroom, tracked blood all over the floor. White boy said it was self-defense. People are trying to compare apples to oranges and say that, well, Karmelo Antony did the same thing. We've heard one stabbing. That's just one stab, like versus multiple stabbings. You don't lose that much blood unless you hit an artery, which that wasn't an artery. He hit the heart. Right.
Well,
this is an artery that's
say, look, I stab him to get him off me.
Stab him, get him off me. Right.
But when you sitting up there jugging him, like,
that's different. That's not self-defense
at all.
But either way, we won't know for how long does it usually take?
Well, it all depends. It all depends on. The case hasn't been even closed yet to be sent to the DA's office yet. They're still investigating, and I don't know what their caseload looks like over there in their jurisdiction. I don't know where it will go, because I know here you have 90 days to get a case indicted.
So it may take a year,
possibly before it gets on the calendar.
Right. And so then he's on house. So he's lucky. He's on house arrest. Will this take away from his education?
No, because here's the thing. If he's a senior in high school, yes. You pretty much can't go to college. He could do online school, but to actually be on campus might be an issue.
Yeah. Okay.
That might be an issue.
Okay. All right. So okay.
Yeah,
if he turns out to be innocent, people may not take him in anyway.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this: these are some things he needs to ask for. If he's found innocent, I need a full retraction of my name. I need this off my criminal history. I need to be able to start rebuilding my life back. Because I've been acquitted. You can't charge me again for it because that'd be double jeopardy. I was found not guilty. The facts lay that this was self-defense. I need to be able to start living my life again. So I need this expunged off I need to take it off my criminal history or sealed. So, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, there's so many different factors that's going on. And this case is not going to be won in the court of public opinion. It's not. Unfortunately, you have to sit down and wait for the facts to come out, not off opinions, off the facts.
Yeah. And there was no fussing, there was no fighting.
Right.
Right. Because people can yell all day that he's guilty, and it was like, you mean innocent until proven guilty? I mean, that's your constitution. That's your constitution, all right. But like I said, I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Dre, for coming up and speaking with us
Oh, no
and
problem.
giving your knowledge and wisdom about, you know, um, the law itself, and you know what may transpire in the near future. We will not know, and hopefully this is going to take a backseat, but I know it won't, because they might possibly be talking about it again pretty soon. But nevertheless, we want to thank you for coming up, and hopefully we can do this again in the future.
Oh, definitely. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem, sir. Not a
All right.
problem. And Lisa thanks you too.
Yeah, that's my dog right there. Me and Lisa go back.
Yeah, I'll hold on for this one. I'll definitely hold on.
Yeah.
But we're gonna wait a few minutes. If Nate shows up, cool. If not, we got what we need, and I'm very blessed and fortunate to have this. So you have the rest of your day, and God bless.
Same to you. Thanks.
Not a problem. Not a problem. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to review some. We're gonna go in and review some things. We're gonna wait a while. We're gonna wait a while before, so if he has the opportunity to show up. I had spoken with him, and he said he was moving some things around. Um, we're just gonna wait for him to show up. If not, again, this was way more than enough. But again, we still have people that thinking this boy is guilty, and then of course we have the black crackers out there who will virtually say anything. And I'm surprised at a couple of folks. I am surprised that a couple of folks thinking that, you know, he's guilty of all charges. You know what I'm saying? So I say wait. He's home. He's rested. He's in fear. You shouldn't be in fear of your life. You shouldn't be in this much fear of your life dealing with such nonsense. But we're gonna shift to poor old Shannon Sharp. We're gonna go to poor old Shannon Sharp. Now, I made a live this afternoon. Saying that, well, I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. And I also said that uh, um, Hunter, the boy that played in Colorado with his father Dion, not his father, but his mentor Deion Sanders. I said, you've been warned. It's one of the things that I said. And I'm still sticking with that, because what had happened was, and everybody's reporting on it now, is that Shannon Sharp got caught up. Shannon Sharp got caught up in a scam, possibly, maybe. And there are different people who proclaim that Shannon got what he deserved simply because he wanted to pay for some coochie. That's just what it is. And he was manipulated. He wasn't manipulated. He knew what he was getting into. He definitely knew what he was getting into. So it is what it is. But now I would ask the question, and many ask the question, what the hell is a 19-year-old doing with a 56-year-old? And at the same time, what is a 56-year-old doing with a 19-year-old? It is crazy. It is totally crazy. And now he's being sued for $50 million. $50 million? I'm like, oh boy. He just, in my estimation, didn't he just sign a contract for $100 million? $100 million for his show. $100 million. And there are people who are talking about it. I care enough. I care less about it. I could care shit fest of a fat rat's ass about it because you are worth that. First of all, people are still buying your jerseys. That's number one. So you have merchandise. You are on ESPN with Stephen A. Smith, who put you on. And number three, you just signed $100 million contract for your podcast. Oh, it's in negotiations? Regardless, you're going to get, whether you got it or you don't got it, you're negotiating for it, you're still getting paid. And you're in incredible shape. Why you gotta mess with snow bunnies? This is on you. This is on you, dog. But you got people talking about it, so let's listen. I give two shits about you.
Especially considering he offered her to settle before it even went public. So,
all right, what about you, Big John?
Man, I gotta say it's a tad bit disturbing, man. I feel like Shannon is a little too old and too experienced in the game of being a celebrity, in the game of dealing with a higher amount of money, knowing people go after money.
Hold on.
And on top of that, what I'm hearing is that she's on fan, so he definitely had appetite. If he was looking at somebody that young, that was intentional.
He choked the shit out of you.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play this audio clip. This is the first audio that actually came out.
Everything I say, you're just gonna like get mad at, and you're just gonna hang up on me. So I feel like
I'm not gonna hang up on you. It is what it is.
what does that even mean?
Nothing yet. You want to be a to me now, so
I don't want to be. Don't manipulate me.
I don't know that mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm gonna choke the shit out of you when I see you. Thank you.
Is this what you was talking about, Lisa? Is that what you was talking about, Lisa? I think you meant the other way around. Oh shit. Hey Tanya.
Well,
All right, that was the first audio, man. So
I don't trust anybody that video records out of nowhere. If he is unaware that this audio call is being recorded, she probably gaslit the frick out of him. He said some shit. She said, "Got you." Boom. The crazy part is they were talking to each other and very, like Shay said, dominatrix type. You know, she likes that stuff. So he's probably like, yo, like, when I see you, it's like on. And she's over here, you're manipulating me. Come on. I've seen this again and again and again and again. Listen, if this was something that serious, if it was really that serious, I get it. You might be afraid at first to come out and say something. Cool. But when you come out,
their hair braided.
when you come out, you have the opportunity to go to the police. You go to the police. You go to the police and you get it taken care of immediately. You don't just sue somebody.
But
You don't just sue somebody. If he's that bad, if he really did that stuff to you, you're gonna go and say, he assaulted me, he hurt me. I need to file a restraining order. I need to do this, I need to do that. Not run to the internet and just basically say, if you give me 50 million, I'll forgive you for everything that you did. Come on now. Come on.
Right. And it definitely gives that this was, like I said, that's probably, maybe that's one of his kinks or her kinks of being dominated. I don't know. She does OnlyFans. I don't know what type of content she does on her OnlyFans, but it's definitely absolutely 100% giving.
No,
it's repetitive.
You talk too much.
Yeah, I do got some additional audio. I'm gonna play the second part of it too. That's leaked out.
Gabby.
That might not be in that one. Was that number 2? Let me see. Let me make sure. Yeah, it's this one right here. That was it.
I'm into LA tomorrow.
Yes.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it, Gabby.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Yeah. I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did what you did to me.
Okay, well.
Wow! 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 Travis Hunter, you've been warned, dude. I ain't saying nothing else to your black ass. You have been warned, dude. I need the APB to get this clip. Get this clipped and send it out to Travis Hunter immediately. You told me what? I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming. That's crazy. That is crazy. Why would you say that knowing that this woman was going to record you? What are we doing? Wow. Wow. You lost. You lost. I didn't even hear this. I didn't hear this part, Lisa, Calvin, Britt, I didn't hear this. I did not, I swear to God, I did not hear this part. I heard the other part, but I didn't hear the, whoa, he is going to lose his contract. He's going to lose all the, well, needless to say, settle. Just settle. At this point, he might as well just go ahead and settle. He might as well. Ain't nobody that dumb. Listen. That's why I sent it to. You know what? This is your fault, Lisa. This is your fault. This is your fault. Wait a minute.
I might choke you.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Yeah. I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did what you did to me.
Okay, well,
Well, what?
So you guys think that was role playing, or you think that was?
Tell me that was not a Cornhub title. tell me that one a Cornhub title. Just saying.
I never heard of that one before in my life. Never. No. I refuse to accept that. But then again, I got something special for y'all. Be right back.
And I feel like the way she talking is very like monotone
I'm not
and too
really
like
that interested in.
Yeah,
And like, oh, like calm.
I don't
like
want
this
to
is
be
a role
true.
play.
and then the
No, I don't
open ended like
well, you don't want something? No, what the fuck you put your hands on me for? The fuck? Like, come on, like we got. Listen.
If it was realistic,
I do not condone any violence, any woman putting hands on a man, any man putting hands on a woman. I do not condone rape. I do not condone grooming. I do not condone any of that. At the same time, these are two adults making a decision to have a certain lifestyle and then choosing not to, or whatever the case may happen. But if that were the case, right? If that were the case, why are you seeking all these money? Damn, that cannot fix what is done to you. What can fix that is prosecuting someone that can make it, to where it doesn't happen to the next person. A lawsuit is not going to be anything invigorating, because guess what? You're going to get all that money, but are you still satisfied within yourself? Are you still happy within yourself? No, because you'll never be, because you're the lifestyle that you're living and the amount of money it can never be good enough for you. So
Because
it's
that's
really,
never the goal.
it's really, at the end of the day, there are people that really go through this shit. Like, there are people that really, really go through this. And I don't know what the play was. I don't know what their relationship was, but I don't know. It all sounds kind of scripted.
Yeah,
you never know.
Real bad. It sounds like a storyline. Like,
I mean, it does. It does.
Premeditated. It's premeditated.
It probably would have went different if she was a little bit more older, maybe mature. Probably not straight seeking for this type of stuff.
Yeah, I don't think age. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that.
I feel like y'all being disingenuous, man. This young lady is on OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's her lifestyle. That's
it's like come on now. Like,
how many 50-year-old ladies on OnlyFans though?
You'd be surprised.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of 50-year-olds.
Exactly.
We live in a completely different world now. So
no, I don't want to hear that.
What it sounds like is they role play. Shannon reached out to her because he saw something he liked. She was like, "Oh man, this big 6'6", 200-some pound nigga. Hey, dominate me."
Right.
Young white girl dominated by big
black. Exactly.
The crazy part is she sent him text messages saying, "I want this stuff."
So
she sent him messages saying she wants it.
She wants it. She said, "Put a dog collar on me." Like, that's what their relationship is.
On, man. Yeah, this is all fabricated allegations in which she should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law to make an example out of her.
Yeah, but I doubt she's not going to be the first. But
she's not going to be the first, and she won't be the last. It's going to continue to happen.
Yeah.
It's just so sad to the actual victims that go through this shit, though. Yeah. It's really disappointing, because you have real people that went through real shit that were even probably worse than what she could ever imagine, and you're sitting here trying to be this poor me victim, and there are real people going through this shit. You know what I mean? And it's like, if he was that bad, if he was that bad of a man, wouldn't you want him off the fucking street and into the jail cell so he can't hurt somebody? Like, what the fuck are we doing?
And I think it's real. Okay, so there's like a fine line because I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. So at what point? Okay, so say this has been their relationship and it's about being dominated.
Oh, shut the hell up, you Evans. I got something for you. I got something for y'all. Now I gotta put a whatever thing on it to cover it up. I can't cover up the sound though. I can't cover up the sound. Oh shit. Hold up. How do I do this? I forgot how to do this. Oh yeah. Almost forgot. This is for y'all. Would y'all be in the room with how do I cover it? How do I cover it? Cover it. Okay. I'll just use this. All right. Y'all asked for this. You simply asked for it. Chuck, take it. Hurry up, yo. Hurry up. Let's see. All right. I don't know what the hell's going on. Okay, cool.
I have a stretched out like a quarter to three.
I gotta ask you a question.
You know what I mean? Don't play with them.
Can I be doing these down? I'm still trying to figure. Yeah. Gucci sounds.
I have a stretch.
Well, actual what? We heard deal. Someone said DMX is in the background. DMX is in the background. Oh, let me see if this will work. Like, share, subscribe to this channel. What the hell? Hold on. Just give me a second. What, this want to act retarded? This does not want to move. Okay, since you don't want to move, I'll go somewhere else. All right. Hopefully this sparks something. Because apparently my computer. Oh no, you didn't. Hey! Wait a minute. I thought y'all said y'all wanted to. Oh snap, Nathan! Damn! I had a link for you, bro. Damn it! I gotta do it later. Damn it! I had a link. God dang it! I had a link for you. You could at least came up the other way. No, I was trying to get the lady. Hey, Helen, how are you? I was trying to tell the ladies how a 56-year-old man know how to work. That's fucked up. Oh shit! Hold up, then. Here you go. I had a link for you, bro. You could have tapped in that way. Jesus. y'all ladies, you got lucky. You got lucky. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Share and subscribe. He sounded like a wolf. Oh, we haven't gotten the full audio yet. We haven't gotten the full audio yet, ma'am. This thing wanted to act goofy. We have trouble with the video. Try again. Nah, I want to try again with yous. I do not want to try again with yous. But these things want to act all goofy and stuff. Well, I'll tell you what. We might have to. And not Courtney Michelle, but the other one said that she had the nerve to say that he was gay. I was like, there ain't nothing gay about that dude. Not at all. Not at all. Let me see. Oh my God, Nathan. I had a link.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, that link wouldn't work. Like I tried to, it wouldn't allow me to log in from it. So I was like, man, I'm about to go straight to the show and get the link that way. I don't know why I couldn't log in from my Instagram because I'm not at my computer.
Oh, yeah. Dre was here. He did a phenomenal job. Everything that's been said up to this point. We're just waiting for the trial, which won't be for like what, a year or so or something like that.
Man, yeah, this is gonna be long and exhausting, bro. It's gonna be long and exhausting, to be honest.
Well, you made a recent video of late. What was that video about? If you can share.
Yeah, so basically, you know my boy Officer Tatum. He was on Fox News and he was making some statements.
Officer Tantrum, you mean?
Officer Tantrum. Yeah, Tatum was making some statements that, again, I don't think there's a lot of cases me and him don't agree on. And this case, what's been getting me upset about this case, and I know Dre probably said this, is that there's no evidence. There's his evidence, is his statement, and what happened on his part, his version of the story, is nowhere in the report. Right?
Right.
So what's very disappointing is that people aren't mature enough to acknowledge that. They're not mature enough to say, listen, this looks crazy. I don't think he has self-defense, but I think we need to wait for his statement to come out before we pass judgment. People they're not even being adult enough to say that. And these are coming from the so-called conservative leaders in the community of social media. Man, they don't even want to acknowledge that, man. So I hate the fact that this selective, due process is selective depending on who it is, what they look like, and what we believe to be is true. I think it's disgusting, man. I hate it, and that's why I wasn't going to cover the case because of the racial component. And I ended up changing my mind because I just started seeing all the foolishness take place. And I was like, nah, I think we need a very balanced perspective on this case. And so that's the reason why I did it. And it comes with its consequences. Because folks be trying to drag me, but then folks appreciate just an honest review of the case. It's just an honest review.
Drag you for what?
Drag you for telling the truth. But it's like that on anything, right? When people are emotionally invested into something, the problem is people think because they can read a book, all of a sudden makes them knowledgeable on how the details of a situation work.
More like when they don't have to read books anymore. They could just go to AI and just
that too. And the problem with AI is AI will find you See, the thing with AI will do the work for you, but it won't educate you, right? So AI brings up information, but it doesn't teach you how to think. AI doesn't teach you how to think. And the difference with this case is I'm trying to show people how to think, and they're like, nah, but this is what it says. I'm like, yeah, but that's not how it works though, right? There's like, can you imagine you got somebody doing surgery and they're like, let me explain to you why I connected this to this and this to that in this moment. And then they turn around and tell you, well, yeah, I know you're a surgeon for 30 years, but the book says this, right? AI said that. Yeah, but did AI ever open up a body? Does AI know what it's looking at? No, I could tell you what the book says. I'm telling you how it's argued in court. I'm telling you what people are going to be looking for in a courtroom. See, you want to tell me how to fly the damn plane. I'm telling you how to land the bitch, right? Those are two totally different things. So what flies on the street is not what lands in a courtroom. And people don't understand that. Like, the criminal justice system doesn't start and stop during the initial investigation.
Right.
There's 3 battles you got to fight. You fight the battle with the police, then you fight the battle in the courtroom, and then you fight the battle with sentencing, right? So it's not over, and there's different ways to fight each one of those levels. And people think because we're police officers, we don't know nothing, right? Like, I try to explain to people that we enforce the law. Okay, the attorneys argue that they just argue. These some arguing mofos. They argue the law. I enforce it. If I don't enforce the law, you don't have nothing to argue about. And then judges interpret the law. If I don't enforce the law and create an act, and like, if I don't create the adversarial approach with the law, who's right, who's not right, good versus bad, I create that so that people can argue that, and that a judge can sit down and then interpret that. But neither one of them clowns are actually doing the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they argue, one interprets, I enforce. I'm looking at the person who's enforcing the law. I'm telling you, this is what it looks like. Because the attorneys can't argue stuff that I didn't do. That's what they're going to be arguing. Hey, officer, how did you investigate this case? What did you find? Did it match the law? If I mess up, the case is over with. The case
so
is
that's
over
why
with.
they have the the DEA involved.
The DA,
the DA. Okay. So yeah,
the DA,
and they basically does for prints, and they do all that other type of stuff there.
Well, yeah. So imagine Dre's job. His job is to perfect the case, right? His job is to make sure all the bells and whistles are on it, so that we can actually make this thing pop off. Dre's job is to help make sure the plane can land properly. That's Dre's job, right? His job is to make sure that before this plane lands, all the systems are checked. You know, everything is all the equipment's gonna work, all of that. If Dre doesn't do his job properly, because Dre's trying to clean up my mess. Dre's like, hey, we're taking over this plane. It just took off. Now we got to navigate and take it over. And it's like, hey, the way this officer put this plane together, it ain't gonna fly. We're not gonna be able to keep it. We're not gonna keep it afloat. So now Dre's like, let's see if we can save the plane so that we can land it safely. And so people downplay that, but it matters. And so, that's the issue that people don't want to acknowledge. You get what I'm saying?
Right. So now you got ex-Klan members, ex-jailbirds going. I'm dead serious. We got those people, wanted for Karmelo to actually come to jail because they're doing their little YouTube videos stating that he had no right to off this boy.
Right.
And I mean, I want so bad to react, but then again, it will probably start the race war. So
right.
So I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut and just let the law commence and just do it that way. because I know me. I know my mouth. I know it's like, okay, so what happened with the whole Dylan Roof situation? Oh, there's a difference. No, it ain't.
No, it ain't.
No, it ain't. Because if that were me and I would have went to a Catholic church and start spraying the place, they ain't taking me to Burger King. They taking my black ass straight to jail.
People hate when you try to. People don't know this, right? Like, I've been on TikTok trying to build my TikTok platform, and what people don't realize is that they don't like when you. How would I put this? People don't like when you use their own logic against them. See, it's the short-term memory that a lot of people have who have an issue with this case. Then when you try to say, "Hey, remember Trayvon Martin?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hold on. You remember Daniel Penny that just happened yesterday? Hey, remember Kyle Rittenhouse?" See, they champion these cases. And what's going to come back to bite them is that the way they argued those cases, there's components from each one of those cases that are coming alive in Karmelo's case. Do you get what I'm saying?
Go deeper into that if you could, please.
Okay. So here's the problem. Each one of these cases that a lot of Black people had issues with, how these cases were settled and managed, how the law was, we believed, was maneuvering away to favor, these the suspects, and how they unalived these Black people. Well, there are components of those cases that can be used to argue in the favor of Karmelo. For example, and this is what I've been challenging people with on TikTok, and they what happens when you're talking to a group of people who feel very strongly against the Karmelo situation, what I've noticed is that when you start using their own cases against them and you start pointing things out, what it is it creates this sense of cognitive dissonance, where it's like they start to malfunction mentally and psychologically. They can't handle when you turn their own weapons against them. So for Karmelo Antony, he was caught in possession of a illegal knife. He wasn't supposed to have a knife. Well, and he's under the age. He's 17. Well, Kyle Rittenhouse, what was he, 17? He was in possession of an unlawful weapon, right? You're not allowed to have a rifle at that age, right? Unless you're with an adult and you're hunting. That was the original meaning of that code section that they used to try to skate around it, but you're not allowed to have it.
Okay.
Well, Karmelo, not allowed to have a knife. Okay. But just because you have an unlawful weapon, you didn't let that stop you from using that to make a self-defense argument. So now what you're saying is, though you might have an unlawful weapon, that doesn't immediately remove your ability to claim self-defense, right? So, but now what you hear from a lot of conservative groups is that, well, he had a knife, so he's just wrong. There's nothing. That's it. Toss it out. It's like, well, hold on now. Kyle Rittenhouse was wrong. Not only was he wrong, he was in a place he had no business being at, marching during a time there was a curfew on the streets, right? There were mobs on the street. This is a 17-year-old boy, states away. He should have been tucked away playing video games in his bed, sucking his thumb. And he's over here playing Batman and Robin, talking about he's guarding a building that doesn't belong to him. And everybody stood by that bullshit ass defense that he came up with. Nobody saw a problem with that. And he raised over $1 million. So now that component of him having an unlawful weapon and using self-defense, you got to take that and pull that over on this case too. You have a situation with Daniel Penny and Jordan Neely on the New York subway. And now you've told America that a homeless man who started yelling, screaming, and saying he's going to kill people, right? That put everybody in fear for their life. Though he never touched anyone, he never put his hands on anyone. You said words alone is fair game to kill someone, to strangle them through self-defense. Your argument is Daniel Penny was defending the people on the train. I'm okay with that. But what you're saying is the issue is Daniel Penny used excessive force that ultimately took the life of Jordan Neely. That's not okay. It's against the law. But you said it's okay because of the threat level that this man presented and the train of people who couldn't remove themselves from the area. So what you told me, I'm taking a component from that case. You told me that the person's words of threats is valid enough to justify the use of lethal force.
You choked him to death.
You strangled him. You strangled him. You strangled him to death for 8 minutes. And this is an educated man who was a former Marine who was trained. He's trained, right? This ain't no Joe Blow off the street. He's trained. Right? So this isn't somebody like, I don't know. I did martial arts, so I couldn't use this excuse. You're talking about someone who's not former military, law enforcement, no martial arts training, tries to choke somebody to restrain them. You can make that argument. Even his Marine instructor showed up and said, "Nah, we didn't teach that," and he still got off. So
what's the code? What's the code of martial arts?
Avoid confrontation.
Avoid confrontation.
The best self-defense is not fighting at all. That's the code of martial arts. Avoid confrontation. And here's the thing: in New York, you have a duty to retreat. Right? In New York, you have to find other means to de-escalate before you use force. That's in New York. He didn't do none of that. You snuck him from behind. You didn't say, "Hey, sir, calm down." You just snuffed him from behind and snuffed his whole life out. So now look at this. Here's the other thing that they put into play. What else did they put in play? They said, "Hey, this man had synthetic marijuana in his system, and that's what made him so raggedy and out of line." Okay. I hope we don't find nothing in Austin's system, because now what I'm gonna say is, hey, that marijuana made him aggressive. Hey, those steroids made him aggressive. Hey, you can't say I can't use that now because you've already told me that that's fair game, and that's the problem that people are gonna have in this case. They're not gonna want to acknowledge that, hey, these same arguments that you've made in these cases that you felt so strongly about, we can also use them in this case. They also apply. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but what doesn't make sense to me is everybody's calling this boy a murderer, a killer, a thug, and everything. I don't know any thugs, in my opinion, or maybe you have a different take on it. I don't know. But I asked Dre earlier. I told Dre earlier, I said, I don't know any 4.0 GPA people who go to school and have a different mannerism about themselves, has 2 jobs, plays football and runs track. I don't know any thugs like that. Right. I don't. But just because you see one person with a gun online, and you see another person with a gun online. What's the difference? What's the difference in between? We both have guns, but I, a black man, am labeled a thug because I have a gun.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, respectability politics. What's funny is all the things they accuse Karmelo of actually applies to Austin and Metcalf. That's the crazy thing. We've never seen a case like this, where this isn't a thug. People have gotten sideswiped by their own, their own stereotypes and prejudice, racist mindsets. They've been caught. Even the whole thing about the money, they buying Escalades and doing this, that was a lie. But people believed it to be true. No one. The issue is this: black people aren't given, in a lot of cases, We're not given the same benefit of the doubt.
No.
And that's a problem, because you're not even going to assume that this boy could be lying about the story. You're not going to assume that you're not going to make that assumption, because in your mind, why would he lie? It's I had the same argument. People, oh, but the witness statement said this, the witness statement said that, and this is what happened. And I said, hey, witnesses lie. They lie. They absolutely lie. But it's hard for you to even conceptualize that, because he's white and he's the twin. And why would a twin lie? Why? He's so cute. He's so innocent. He's smart too. He has a 4.0.
Privileged. Yeah.
He's privileged. Yeah. But that's the danger of people's biases, because if you have biased police officers, guess what? You're gonna assume that this person's telling the truth. Oh, he stabbed him and he didn't even do anything to him. He just stabbed him. Well, as a police officer, if you're biased to your prejudices, guess what? You're not gonna ask questions. You're gonna automatically assume that Karmelo's wrong. You're not even gonna try to find out. And what you see right now online is that people aren't willing to even hear what he has to say. They don't even know. It'd be one thing if they're like, you know what, I don't know, but we need to wait to hear what he has to say first before we pass judgment. They don't care. Because in their mind, there's no possible way he could have a self-defense. Why? So God forbid, listen to me now. God forbid when that video gets released, maybe not to us, God forbid if that video comes out and it shows those twins doing a 2 versus 1, it's game over. It's game over. And the self-defense will be justified.
Yeah, but even if he wins, it's not going to be the end, because people are going to be after him even more. I'm talking about the Karmelo kid.
Yeah, but that's okay. But that's the facts of life, right? That's the facts of life. They're still after OJ. They're still after Kyle Rittenhouse. They're still after George Zimmerman. It's never gonna end. You become public enemy. It is what it is. You're gonna have to sue these media companies, get your money, and you got to leave the country. And you got to start a whole new life. Change your name. I change my name and leave. Yeah, his life will never be the same. Ever. Because people are ignorant.
Go to Africa.
Okay.
They'll welcome you with open arms, kid. Go to Africa. Your career is done. Because it reminds you those flash mobs all over again.
It'll never be.
Kyle Rittenhouse. It was just like the incident the day after. The day after all that went down, you got some white man who just came out of jail and said, us whites are being attacked.
Right.
And that's all it takes is to start a race war. That's all it takes.
Yep.
That and media.
Yep.
So what can you do? And I don't even blame the Karmelo people for kicking Metcalf out, because he didn't have the right to be there. They were grieving. Let them grieve. And on top of that, they were the one that had, well, not only them have to be fair, just to be fair, both the Metcalf people and the Karmelo people were receiving death threats.
Yeah. Yeah. The ignorance is on both sides, man. I think, regardless, the problem is on both sides. We're talking about it's on both sides. I mean, that's just how I look at it. People are ignorant, man. Our country is full of people who are brain dead. And it's sad. It's truly sad.
It's brain dead because they don't want to educate our children. Mm-hmm. The main thing is to educate our children on civics, math, science, etymology, and of course, how to read and understand, overstand, and understand the law and how it works.
How it works.
And if that's not being pushed on our children, then how would they know how to proceed when being pulled over, how to proceed when dealing with a situation? They're just putting particular blinders on. We would never know. And this is the reason why I say I would rather have a online thing where we're teaching our kids about law, how we're teaching kids how to deal with a certain situation. And there's only few of us doing that. You're one of them. You are one of them. Did Nathan go out? Damn. Go ahead.
To give an honest, right? An honest perspective. No matter where the honesty lands, just be honest. And what I've noticed with these things, even police shootings, is that people would just lie, right? They would just lie. And it's like sometimes, hey, the officer is wrong, period. You know, I love the police, but he's wrong. Hey, I love this brother. I love this sister, but she's wrong. He's wrong. Hey, guess what? They're both wrong. And I don't know why people have such a hard time just being honest about what they see. Hey, based on what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do, sir, you can't park in a handicap spot. Right? That's why the officer took you to jail, sir, because you didn't want to hand your ID over, sir. Sir, the reason why you got shot was because you pulled your gun out when the officer told you to lay down on the ground. That's why you got shot, sir. Not because you're an unarmed black man who's against the white man. Like, no, sir, you're wrong. You know, that incident with Kim Potter, where she mistook her gun for a taser.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm a 20-year veteran. And she just got the training just the other day, like a week before the shooting. And she's like, oh my God, I thought I had my taser. Ma'am, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. But guess what? Sir, you got pulled over for driving on a suspended license and having a warrant for your arrest. And you tried to resist arrest when you were wrong. You lost your life because of your decision that you made in front of a cop that's an idiot. And here's the other thing. That warrant came from you robbing somebody. So guess what? If you were a model citizen and you weren't out here trying to take people's things by force, they would have never put a warrant for your arrest, sir. And guess what? If your license was suspended, you would have never been pulled over. They would have never known you had a warrant. Sir, you did this to yourself and she did it to you. But here's the problem. Both of you guys are wrong. And you know, and it doesn't justify what happened because he should have never been unalive, period. There's no justification for it. But, you know, some people didn't want to acknowledge the fact that, you know, you can't resist arrest. You have to comply to survive. That's my quote I say on the channel all the time. Comply to survive. And these are people who are in the wrong, you know.
George Floyd, he went in there with a raw $10, $20 bill or whatever that was counterfeit.
Right.
Arrest him. I have no problem with that. Right. Take him in. I have no problem with that. Put your foot on his neck.
Excessive. It's excessive. And the officer was told to get off. He's staring at the camera like he's damn, you know, Geronimo. Like he don't care, right? The arrogance, the entitlement of these officers. He was wrong. He was wrong. And look what he had. All because he had an ego problem. Look at all the stuff he had to go through. All because he had an ego problem. This is the officer. Even I don't care what George Floyd had in his system. The officer was wrong.
Right? Oh, this came out months later, no, Nate. Come on.
But I'm saying the argument people try to make is that he was gonna what they're trying to make is that the officer didn't cause his death. No, his death is directly related to the behavior of the officer. You get what I'm saying? There's nothing you can argue. There's nothing you can tell me. If the officer never did that, he would have never died. Period. You get what I'm saying? It'd be one thing if he was just in the back of the car and he passed out for whatever reason. That's one thing. But no, it's just like with this case with Daniel Penny. It's, well, what caused his death? Well, technically, when the officers arrived, he had a pulse. So technically, my client didn't kill him. Are you kidding me? That's their argument. He still had a pulse. So you can be dead, brain dead, and still have a pulse. That's how he got off on a technicality. This is what we're dealing with.
Okay, so you are Karmelo Antony's father.
Okay.
What do you say to him at this point? With all this going on, and
say to who? Say to Karmelo?
Yeah. With all the threats being made and everything, and he might have to face. I know you said manslaughter.
Manslaughter is the more appropriate charge, I think. Manslaughter is the more appropriate charge.
Not murder one.
No, not murder one. I don't think you can prove first. I don't think you can prove intent that he wanted to kill him. I don't think you can prove premeditation. That's the argument. Premeditation. And
of course you're not going to get the electric chair. He's not going to get it.
Nah, you're not getting none of that.
Why do I get a freaking preacher saying that he should get the electric chair? Why?
You know you can't argue with the ignorance. You know what I mean? You know you can't argue with the ignorant folks out here. If I was his father, I mean, I don't know, man. I as a father, you know, I've dealt with plenty of fathers as it relates to making arrests and things like that. One of the things that what did real fathers say? A real father say is, hey, you made this decision. This is what you wanted to do. Whether I agree or disagree, you got to see this through like a man.
Yeah.
And you know, I love you regardless of what happens. I'm always going to support you, but you know, this is what you did was a real thing, and you better pray to God. You better pray to God that what you did is justified. That the facts actually line up with your action. And I think that's what's going to have to happen, is that we're really going to have to look at it and say, could he possibly have a defense? I bet you right now, if you ask Kyle Rittenhouse if he'd do this again, he's gonna be like, hell no, I wouldn't do it again. I would have kept my ass where? At home. You know, I bet you'll never see him parading around during a protest of mob people out here destroying stuff, talking about I want to go protect somebody's building. He'll never do that again. Never. It's not. You get what I'm saying? So, what would we ask Karmelo right now? What would you do differently? I'd walk away. You know, I wouldn't engage. I just wouldn't do it. It's not worth the outcome and the headache and the stress. I mean, look what happened with his family. His whole entire family now has moved. Parents can't work. You know, they can't do anything, you know.
That's just ridiculous. Nate, go and do what you got to do, man. I know you're busy.
Nah, you good, bro? Yeah. Any? How you guys doing? Good. Pretty good. Any questions though that you might have? Anything that stood out? I know Dre did the damn thing, because Dre got actually a lot more knowledge, you know, especially at this level of when it comes to kind of where the case is going now. Dre is going to be absolutely the key to kind of like understanding how this next piece unfolds, you know, because it's a different stage of the game. Any crazy question that you might have that you think?
I don't have any questions at this point. I just have worry. I have worry that he's not going to get a fair trial. He's not going to get a fair trial.
Honestly, it's hard to say. We don't know. You know what I mean? I think it depends on how good his self-defense claim is. Because if his self-defense claim is good, I wouldn't even want to take it to court just to prevent from embarrassing anybody, family. Because could you imagine this thing bounces back, say he has a good self-defense claim, it's making everybody look bad. Everybody. You know, the state looks bad. Society looks bad. Nobody's going to want to even want this to go to trial. So yeah, I think if they, but I mean, they've seen the video, and we haven't heard nothing from them yet, which I find very interesting because my thing is, I know Texas, they get like 90 days to make an indictment, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like if they had such a strong case, they would have indicted him by now. And through that indictment, we would know, right? We would have more better understanding. So it's gonna be a crazy case, bro.
I hope the boy get this is what I said. I hope he gets 10 years probation. 10 years probation, and just move on with your life and then start a life somewhere else. Because as far as I know, you got not only you have white folks at your head, you got black folks at your head, which is astounding to me. It's astounding to me. I mean, I'm used to the Charleston whites. I'm used to the officer tantrums of the world. I'm used to that.
Right.
But everybody else in between, you should just go to jail. The law is the law. You don't know the law. Quite frankly, never mind. Thinking the worst of the worst. But
no, you good, man. I appreciate it, man. I hate that I didn't get a chance to jump in early. I was out moving stuff around, but yeah, man, we'll keep our eyes on the case, man, and we'll see what the updates look like. And, we're gonna be reporting on it. But I appreciate you reaching out the invite, man. I wish I could have jumped on earlier, but I knew Dre was gonna handle business, so I wasn't too worried.
He handled the business. Damn it, he handled it good too. But I want to thank you, and I want to thank him too for stopping by and talking up with your boy.
No, absolutely, bro. I appreciate you.
All right, no problem, man. Take it easy.
All right, man. Later.
All right. And that concludes this. Oh no. Not getting away with this. Oh no, not at all. I got the TikTok working. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna play this clip. Oh, now it's just now jumping all over the place. I thought I had it fixed. Doggone it, you're lucky. You are so lucky I can't even do this shit right now. You are so lucky because it keeps jumping all over the place. Hey, we've done enough already, but I just want to thank Mr. Nathan Daley. I know he's got a lot of stuff on his plate, and definitely want to thank Mr. Drake for stopping by. I like talks like this, and like I said, I want to appreciate the two gentlemen, the two officers coming by and chopping up with your boy. But with that being said, this is We-On-Loc Nation, and I bid you farewell until next time. Peace.